Welcome to The Dead Life. Here's world-renowned medium, Allison DuBois.
Today on The Dead Life, I have Sophia in studio to talk about happy ghost stories. Ghosts get a bad rap, so I'd like to shed some light on the way they help us by letting us know that they're there. There are many uplifting stories coming your way, so stay tuned. To book a reading with me, email us at booking@allisondubois.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Medium Allison, or you can watch me on YouTube to see new and past episodes of The Dead Life. Please like and subscribe. If you have a life question for me and Sophia for my Love Me, Love Me Not segment, leave your question at 802-332-3811. Don't forget to pick up a bottle of my Divination 22 Money Potion Vodka or Love Potion at One Handsome Bastard in Old Town Scottsdale to set intentions for 2025. Go to divination22.com to find out about the singles mixer that we're throwing March 1st to launch our Divination 22 Love Potion. Well, Sophia, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank
also
you for
the
being
mixer.
Here.
Yeah, divination22vodka.com.
Yes.
For more information if you're interested.
Oh, do you have to put vodka before the .com? Isn't it just divination22.com?
Actually, yeah. It is just divination22. Okay, never mind. Don't listen to me.
Sometimes mothers know best.
That's okay.
So it's all
I
good.
made the thing.
I know, you did. And we're so excited. So we felt like the dating apps are just an absolute no-go these days because you've taken a few turns on it and you know what it's all about. And there's people of all ages that seem to have trouble meeting quality people. And I've done a lot of readings with amazing, amazing men and women.
Yeah.
And they always say to me, I wish you could match me with someone that works with my sign or my energy. So there's going to be a little bit of astrology inflection in this where people's sun sign will be on their name tag along with their name. And we're going to see how the elements all interact together. There's going to be Fred Astaire Dance Studio for dance lessons with some of the people that are coupling up. And so people can get to know each other. It'll be at Handlebar J in Scottsdale, which is legendary Arizona family-owned place that we've been going forever. And it's just really great. So we're going to have a good time. Appetizers, you get a Divination Love Potion, Divination 22 Love Potion cocktail as well. And
Maybe a matchmaker.
We have some pretty great people signing
a tarot
up.
card reader.
We've got already a 30-something plastic surgeon. We've got a restaurateur. We've got a lot of beautiful girls that have signed up and a lot of quality gentlemen. So I'm looking forward to this, but it's also a good reason to day drink in Arizona, which is part of our pastime. So
yes.
I love it. So we thought today it would be nice to share some of the happy ghost stories since everybody's always trying to show the dark side of the afterlife. Yeah. And I really like the dead. And I find them to be, they're the best versions of themselves. They're very focused and clear on what matters and priorities. And to me, they just make everything so much simpler for us. And I wanted to show how healing they can be for those of us who are left behind. So let's go ahead and start with our first call-in.
Okay.
Hi, Allison. My name is Kim, and I've called you before, and you've actually read my experience on one of your podcasts not too long ago regarding a pregnancy loss my husband and I had about 8 years ago, where we had named her Noel because she was due around Christmas time. And our Noel ornament out of the blue one night started swaying back and forth. And then when my husband waved at it, it started moving faster. And I have another experience to share with you that I thought was amazing. My mom and daughter and I go to the Nutcracker Ballet every December. It's been a tradition since I was about 10 years old. And we were at the Nutcracker this past Sunday. And I just kind of had a little thought run across my mind that if Noel was with us, she would be here dressed up like all the other little girls in the audience, and it would have been another tradition with her that we would have had. And I briefly mentioned it to my mom afterwards when her and I went out to dinner. And on our way home, we were driving, and the car in front of me, the license plate said Noel and the number 5. And I've had license plates come to me before that are very telling or spiritual regarding certain individuals that I lost that I've been thinking about. And a license plate will be in front of me, and it's that person's name, or it will say Angel 33, which is my my number. I love threes. I see them all the time, and Tom McMullen has actually done one of my readings and said that my number is 3, my birth chart number. So anyways, I just wanted to share that with you because it made me feel extremely emotional, but in a happy way that she's still here with us. I hope you have a great holiday, and I look forward to listening to your next podcast. Thank you.
So I love Kim. Kim's got great energy.
Yeah, she does.
I mean, she'll be a great mom. I don't know if she has other kids, but she should have many. We need all those great moms out there. She has a lot of love to give. The pregnancy loss, this is a hard one for women to live through because it's something that continues to hit you in waves. I'm sure as you see daughters, as yours would get older and you see other people's daughters of that same age, that would be gut-wrenching to recognize that's, and when we'd take the 3 of you out when you were little girls, I'd catch women sometimes looking at you, they'd compliment you on your dress, and we took you to the Nutcrackers. So I know what it feels like to take my little girls there. And so I really do understand the level of pain she must feel. I will say that pregnancy losses tend to recycle back into the family. If she was, were to get pregnant again and have a child, that soul's really just waiting for a body strong enough or under the right circumstances to make entry into the world. I'm sure that little girl's soul would find its way into her arms. And so I do hope that for her and her husband. And with the little girl leaving so many signs for them, and I think it's probably a little girl in conjunction with a grandmother or Kim's grandmother that are making some of these things happen, almost as if to say, don't give up. Yeah. She's still part of you. She's still part of your life. Don't give up. She's not going away. And I'm sure that the people that love Kim who have passed are trying to find a way to get that little girl's soul into the family.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because I know you've said that they recycle back in sometimes as like a nephew, niece, cousins, whatever it may be. But it sounds like with all of the signs that she is just waiting to be her little baby.
Yes. Yeah. Saying, I'm not gone. Yeah. I'm still there, mommy. And
I hear you. I see you.
And especially with the Noel ornament starting to sway when the dad was talking to, the little girl spirit or, that it started reacting to his voice. To me, that's a very active energy that's passed. And I'll say this, I'll make a distinction. A lot of children who cross, when I bring through, say, the grownups on the other side, the children that don't make it into the world where they grow a personality and become part of memories with the parents, the grandparents, a very limited existence in their life in pregnancy with the mother. They don't tend to show up in readings. The fact that this child is so actively letting them know she's there tells me that she's trying to make her way back into the family and into the world, that there's something for her to do and for them to not give up. And so that's a distinction I want to show. There's sometimes when a stillborn or a miscarriage just happens, you'll see more activity because that soul's undecided on whether or not it's going to make entry into the world still. And I think there are some that may decide the timing's not right, or, they hold back. But this little girl, Noel, seems to know where she belongs and that she belongs with them. So,
yeah.
And I just wanted to add, I do love the part about the license plate, because my dad let me know he was around you. I've always told you that, and they do communicate through license plates. So I think her saying that will resonate with a lot of people, because it'll be at just the right time when you're thinking of the person, where there's no coincidences. It's very obvious. And you graduated college in May of 2020. So it was in COVID and we couldn't have your party, because everybody went into lockdown. So Dad and I toddled off one day and just bought you a car to surprise you, because we felt really bad about that. And we were really proud of you being summa cum laude.
Yeah.
And graduating in 3 years. And we're like, oh my God, she worked so hard. This can't be the way it ends. So we wanted to get you this really cool car. And the car, the license plate comes and we look at it, and my dad always said, "Que sera, sera." He's like, whatever will be, will be. He also loved Doris Day because he was a ballroom dancer and he had those albums in his dance studio. So when I saw your license plate and it was like the letter K, the number 5 that looked like an S, and
hey, stop telling everyone my license plate.
Anyways, it basically spells out que sera.
Yeah.
and sorry about that, honey.
I'm like, hey.
And I was so touched, because I've always told you you're the most like him. You're a dancer like he was a dancer. You're funny. You got the dimples. I've just always thought you were a lot like my dad's positive energy. And so it was as if my dad was saying, I'm there. I see these things happening. I see her. And it was just really comforting. So I hope there's a lot of people out there that get some beautiful message through a license plate as well. I know there are people, as long as cars and license plates have existed, we know when it's a message for us. And I think that's really special. So let's go to the next one.
Hi, Allison. My name is Patty. I just got done listening to your most recent podcast. I believe it was from the December 10th, about the Christmas stories. I've called in with a couple different stories to share, because I talk way too much and overshare. But anyways, I thought I would try one more time. I wanted to share this with you. I lost my dad in January of 2022, and I have an Etsy business, so one night I was in the kitchen. It was late. I was up by myself making my orders, and there were some helium balloons that we'd had in the house for like 3 weeks already. They'd been on the ground. They hadn't moved, like they don't when the helium comes, out of them. They just kind of sit in the ground, but still inflated. So I'm at my stove, and I'm making my stuff, and all of a sudden a balloon comes over and hits me up in my upper thigh. And so I turned around quickly, my foot hit it and kind of kicked it over by the dining table. And I looked at it, and my air conditioning wasn't on. There was no reason, there was no draft, there was, your mind goes, you try to figure out all this. How could that have happened? So I needed a witness, and one of my sons happened to be awake. So I called him out, and I'm like, watch this. I was just trying and hoping, because I get messages and see things all the time, and I'm always by myself. So my son comes out, and I said, just watch this. And so I said, hey, Dad, if that was you, can you bring that balloon over to my feet? And the balloon slowly but surely crept across the floor and came right to my feet. My son just looked at me and he goes, Mom, I don't know what to do with that. Like, he's not real comfortable with the whole thing. But anyways, I thought that was fun that my dad was like, hey, I'm in the kitchen with you too. I see what you're doing. Anyways, thanks so much. I love your podcast. You guys are both awesome. And you guys have a great Christmas. Thanks so much.
So, Patty, so much fun there. I love how her nature is to plug into her intuitiveness and own it, but also to get a second opinion with her son.
She's been alone so many times. I get it.
Yeah. Well, and often we will be alone because they're trying to get our attention. And when we have other people around, our attention's absorbed by that person. Yeah. So I love that, with her dad dying January 2022, so sorry about that, Patty. I know how painful that is. When you're working on your Etsy business, which is probably something that you really love and enjoy, and maybe even think of your dad while you're doing it, maybe as a source of inspiration, because Etsy's got a lot of cool little inspirational baubles on it. I like going on it myself. I love that she's both aware, not easily saying, oh, that's definitely him. She's weighing it just to make sure. And I think that's very common human nature. So making sure the AC's not on, things of that nature. And that she called her son in, who then says, I don't really know what to do with this after she makes a request to her dad. And the difference between this and some other people is she made a request from her dad from an emotional place. When you make that request from an emotional place, they will accommodate you. When you challenge them and it comes from a place of challenge that's in your head, that you're still going to end up dismissing, they'll pull their energy back in signs. So I just want people to understand Patty is an example of a very healthy view on life after death, and then the interaction with her father still being around her, and what the messages he's trying to get across to her. The way Patty addresses this, very healthy, he'll continue to give her signs and messages. But again, if somebody comes in with a challenge to the other side, they sort of roll their eyes and pull their energy back because they know that you're so caught up in your head that you're making too many of the mistakes that they regretted making themselves and not plugging in emotionally and trusting that intuitive voice in the center of your heart and your soul. And so I just wanted to show that distinction for people, because some people will say, well, I asked my dad to come through. It's like, no, you told him if he's actually there, knock that off the table. And in those instances, they're not going to engage you because you're not getting it. It's not coming from the right place.
Or they're doing it to prove a point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, she was just like, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was you.
Yeah.
Say hi to your grandson, So,
And there's a lot of layers of energy in people in how we approach life after death and the other side. Some people are really easy to communicate with for the other side because we do project our energy and we're aware of their presence around us and their participation in our life. And then there are people that are stuck in their head and they exercise very little emotionally or in the center of their chest, in their heart. And it's very difficult for people who've crossed to connect with people who are stuck in their head. Mm. And if you don't adjust your energy, you're not going to get the signs in the way that you want to, where it actually serves you and elevates you. You'll get signs all day long and dismiss them, and after a while they'll stop coming around. But for Patty, her dad's going to keep popping in and being like, hey, honey, I just wanted to make sure that, you're not too sad because you still have a dad. You're not an orphan. They say that all the time. Mm-hmm. You're not an orphan. Stop acting like one, you know? Yeah. So let's go on to the next caller. I'm really liking my call-ins, and sorry that our call-ins got backed up. Some of these are obviously from December. Yeah.
Hi, Allison and Joe. This is Lisa from Arizona. Thank you for having me on previous podcasts. I have another story I thought you might like, so here you go. My husband is adopted, and my in-laws were adamant that he never find his birth parents. When our younger daughter became very ill, we decided to find them for medical reasons. My in-laws made it clear that they still did not want us to find them. We were able to find both his biological parents, but his father did not want to have a relationship with us. His birth mom was thrilled that we found her, and we've had a relationship with her for the last 14 years. We never did let his adoptive parents know. My father-in-law passed away in 2021, and my mother-in-law in 2022. Last November, my older daughter got married the day after Thanksgiving. We absolutely did what you said and made sure they were included in the wedding with jewelry and pictures. Because both of his parents had passed, we were able to have his birth mom come to the wedding, where we introduced her as my husband's mom. One evening, a few days after the wedding, I was sitting with my younger daughter, and she was telling me that she felt weird about introducing the birth mom as my husband's mom. She felt it was a betrayal to Grandma. I agreed. It felt uncomfortable for me, too. Just then, our dog started with a low growl at nothing we could see. I told her, Grandma's here, and she's listening. I also told her how I've learned from your podcast that once people pass, they see their life through others' eyes, and that I think now she has a different perspective, and she's okay with us knowing the birth mom. She knows that finding her did not change our love for her. The next morning, I got a notification from Facebook that my mother-in-law liked a post I had put on there the day before. It was a picture of a snowman that said, dance like Frosty, shine like Rudolph, give like Santa, and love like Jesus. I took a screenshot and ran into my daughter's room, woke her up, and showed her that Grandma liked my post. I told her, see, she's okay. She knows, and this is how she's telling us she's okay. I then went and told my husband. He looked up and said that was nice of her and filed. Of course, he checked her Facebook account, and it was fine. No hacks. It didn't surprise me that she was able to communicate through Facebook. She was a fierce woman in life. Why not in the afterlife? I hope you, your family, and everyone listening to your podcast has a great holiday season. Thanks for all you do.
How cool was that?
Okay, I wish I knew the grandma. She sounds awesome. That's great. Okay, so have you heard that before of somebody liking something on social media after they pass?
So I have to say
That's
one
strong.
is new
Yeah.
for me. I have heard many times that children who have passed, if you keep their phones, even if the phone's dead and in a drawer, you'll get text messages. I've seen text messages from children that have been gone for years appear on their phone with the date that it was sent 5 years in the future from their passing. So
that would give me chills.
I know
Dang
it did. So I've seen that. I've also caught voices of the deceased that I brought through in readings. I've caught it on audio while recording readings as well. Facebook, that one's new. That's kind of interesting. But I do know that spirits can manipulate electronics. I've always said they're electric energy. So that's why they can. It's why they make babies' toys go off in the middle of the night that are electronic. And they can play with things such as that. So, and I understand that the adopted mom would have probably felt a little territorial over her son in not wanting him to meet his biological parents at the time, because that's physical world worry that we're going to lose somebody. Or maybe she even lost children that she was pregnant with in the past and had these issues with abandonment. And she was afraid that he'd like the biological mom more. I mean, we can all see the point of view of the adopted mom. I think they played their cards really well, though, in getting in touch with the biological family, but keeping the adopted family feeling comfortable in their bubble, because that's got to be a dicey game to play, trying to keep that separation and keeping it from coming out. And especially with the daughter becoming ill, they had to know what the family history was for her well-being, you know, so that was essential. I'm glad that she found her birth mom. I know that the adopted mom who's passed would be very happy to know that her child and her daughter-in-law were getting the most love possible, and was able to be there for the granddaughter as well when she couldn't be. So when they pass, they see that other person almost as if it's a teammate on a relay team, and they're handing the baton to the next runner. And they're saying, you know, go as fast as you can, do the best you can. And so after we pass, the ego goes away. And we see other people in our children and grandchildren's life as not only benefits and assets, but more of a gift, you know, in their lives. And we appreciate it more.
I mean, I kind of don't blame them for not wanting him to meet his biological parents, because I would be a bit territorial too. Like, I raised you, I love you, I'm your mom. You don't need to know.
Right.
But that's good to know that your afterlife, the ego goes away and you're like, you know what? I'm happy they have somebody that can be there for them.
The one exception that I've seen, I like to share my little stories, the things that I get to see and know. Let me take a drink of water because this one's hot.
Oh God, okay.
Okay. So the exception I would say is sometimes when I bring through a husband or a wife where it was a love of their life that they left in the physical world, you know, where they were I call them salt and pepper shakers, where they almost seem like they're made for each other. You can't say one's name without the other.
Yeah.
They're a unit. You expect them together. When one of those soulmates die, I have had them come through before and say, don't date my friends. And had the woman that I'm reading be currently dating one of their friends. And they kind of freak out. But I'm like, you know, here's the thing. You're my client. You do what you want. This is your call. I just want you to know this is what he's saying. And he sees your life.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy. But sometimes it does seem to take that person time to adjust to seeing that other person with their mate. You know?
I feel like if you and dad, like one of you guys died, right? No, if you died, dad, dad is here. He remarries or something. You would haunt both of them.
I'm so terrible.
You would haunt them both. But no, it reminds me of that song, that country song I like. I think it's What He'll Never Have. I think that's what it's called. And he's like, he can have everything in the house. He can have the dog. He can have my fishing hole, but like he'll never have the love for you. And I played it for you and you're like, couldn't be me. They can't have any of my stuff. Absolutely not my animal, not my husband,
Nothing.
not my
no. And it's funny because now I'm at Dad and I aren't newly married. Obviously, we've been together for over 30 years, so it's been a long time. But now when your girlfriends start complimenting your husband, because I've seen the gamut of passings, I'm like,
yeah,
you're right. Off. He is a good guy. And I don't need you to be there for him if I die.
Right. Don't worry, I'll be here.
Thank you.
I'll shove him away.
And I have had a number of husbands and wives just say, not one of my friends.
Yeah. Which makes sense.
Nobody I know, like a stranger they can deal with. Like, let me bring a stranger into your life that'll remind you of me in the right ways, in the good ways. But someone that'll make you happy.
Not a friend.
But not a friend. So that's not all spouses who pass, but a lot of the ones that I've brought through, that seems to be a little bit of they're sticklers for stay out of the neighborhood. So that's kind of funny.
I don't blame them.
So I just wanted to share that with the listeners because I'm never surprised by it anymore because I've heard it too many times with them. So with the mother-in-law and father-in-law being passed, I'm so glad that Lisa's husband did get to have a dad in his life, and the adopted fathers, considering that his own biological dad didn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
And that's very sad.
That's
so he got to have a father experience in his life. And your friends are having kids now in very, dramatic, Knots Landing sort of nighttime soap opera situations that I'm observing. And I see the future in how that will unfold. And this is an example where the dad just doesn't want that relationship, but the mom is thrilled.
Yeah.
And, maybe the mom was really young. I mean, often they are, and they couldn't take care of a child. We understand that. And I'm sure that she changed the adopted parents' lives, or they wouldn't have had that little boy to raise. So I think everybody wins here. I love Lisa's openness. So Lisa, keep calling in. I love your stories. They're very, very heartfelt. And
Yeah.
And I hope her mother-in-law likes more posts on Facebook.
I think so too.
Now we know to check. I guess don't shut down accounts. Like, I don't know how you get around that. Maybe people out there know. But I haven't heard of anyone coming through on Instagram and liking anything yet. But Facebook.
We'll see.
Isn't that funny? It's the evolution of mediumship as well. Because I used to hear when young guys would come through Guitar Hero. It was the time, early 2000s. Like, they'd play Guitar Hero. They'd pass, they'd talk about with their brother and wanting him to have their Guitar Hero to play and connect with him through the music. As time moves on, I don't hear that anymore, right? Because things change. Facebook, little dull now. Young people kind of left Facebook. A lot
it's
of
mainly
them.
Instagram now.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a certain generation that crosses that will mention Facebook, as I then go into the evolution of a younger generation that when they pass will mention Instagram.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting being a medium. We see the ebb and flow of pop culture.
No, it's going to be weird when they mention TikTok or something,
I may not be able to get that one because I don't use it. I don't know. Like it's got to be in my it's got to be in my vernacular.
Me, yeah, true.
That's so funny. But it's hard for me to get used to them mentioning. Usually they don't mention technology unless it has to do with communication on a phone.
Yeah.
There was an emotional communication or the last phone call they ever placed to them, or that they see them listening to the voicemail of their voice and they're with them at that time. Or they saw them post a memorial is what they'll call it. It's not specific to Facebook, Instagram, or anything. It's just you posted a memorial. So that could be a website. It could be Facebook.
Yeah.
They memorialized them. That's what they'll say. So it's interesting. Let's go on to the next.
Okay. We're at 30 minutes. Is that okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Hi, Allison. This is Mary Jane from Washington State, and I have a Christmas memory story I'd like to share. I met my husband when I was 16. I'm sorry. Get a little choked up. And he passed away when I was 49. During the pandemic, I decided to purge all of the clutter in my house and my basement and my garage. And I had come down to the last 3 boxes. And it was Christmas time. It was a couple days before Christmas. And the first box contained love letters that we had written to each other from high school, almost all the way up to right before his death. And the second box contained some Christmas gifts that he had given me, but because he had been hospitalized, I never opened them. And he passed away in 2008. So it had been quite a few years, because this was 2020. And I opened the Christmas presents, and they contained nightgowns. And they had a little Christmas theme to them, and underneath it was a Christmas card that he had written me that I had never seen before. And so that particular Christmas of 2020, I had received gifts from him, and it was pretty amazing. But I can't share anymore because I'm going to start crying. But thank you, and thank you to Joe and the whole DuBois crew for everything that you do for those of us who look forward to Tuesdays in your podcast. Thank you. Goodbye.
I'm sorry, you can never stop doing this podcast.
Okay, everybody listening to this, their hearts with Mary Jane. I mean, what a beautiful soul. And
that was her soulmate that you were just talking about before. Yeah.
And I'm glad that she got the love story. And I'm so sorry that he died when she is 49. No matter how long your mate lives, you never feel like it's long enough when they're the right one, So that's just soul crushing, really. Yeah. So the 3 boxes, the love letters, the Christmas gifts. He passed in 2008 and she didn't open them until 2020. So think about that. Christmas of 2020, she would have been so lonely.
Yeah.
Because we had lockdowns, we had the pandemic. And you'd think, well, 12 years had passed. It doesn't matter. Not when it's that person, not when it's the one. Not enough time could ever pass to make the hurt go away. But then to find the Christmas card, and I say this about spirits and how evolved they are. When he died in 2008, there was a sense of knowing that there would be this time in the future that she would need it more than the rest of the time after he passed. And that was going to be in 2020. And so for all of those, the love letters, the Christmas gifts, the Christmas card, to then surface for her was him spending Christmas with her to make sure she wasn't alone.
Yeah.
And to let her know that, you know, that was probably one of his happiest times a year was probably Christmas. There's usually an underlying message to the timing of it, but just gut-wrenching to hear the story and her voice and the love, the comfort that I get though, knowing that when she does die, she's going to see him and he's going to be a young man and he'll probably be standing there with flowers, which is why flowers are so important for that first date. And waiting for her and saying, what took you so long, you know? And that's the real love story right there. Like, we've got all the messy stuff here in the physical world. And I think people become jaded and desensitized and they just mentally shut down and emotionally shut down. And I want to thank Mary Jane for sharing her husband with all of us and their love, because I think this inspired everyone out there to, if you're married to that person, give him a hug, tell him what he means to you, or tell her, give her a kiss. Also raising the bar for young men and women to not settle for anything less than that. And
all those love letters.
Right.
I would reread them every day. I'd wear those nightgowns every day.
I know.
Oh my God. I wouldn't care.
know.
Even if they were really ugly, I'd be like, he chose them.
And to know that his hands touched them and wrapped the paper and
the last to ever touch
sealed the envelope, the last envelope he'd seal in his whole life, like all of it. It's just so beautiful. So that I wanted to end with that story because I think that's the it factor right there in people. Some people don't believe in soulmates, and I do. And there are people out there that believe there's 500 different people that could be a good match for you. I don't. I just don't see energy like that.
I also feel like this is a good time for this episode. I know it's all Christmas stuff, but Valentine's Day is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, guys, if you haven't made a reservation, you're so SOL because all the reservations are booked. So make a picnic, put a picnic together, do something.
Buy those flowers
on the Snap.
Oh my gosh.
I know, because
it sucks that girls are so romantic though.
Yes.
Like, we're so romantic and we know what we want, but guys are guys. Like, I don't know. It's so hard for them to understand why we love that.
Yeah.
Like, why we love it, but
but the guys that figure it out know how to speak every woman's language. Because they figure it out.
And definitely don't settle. I like that theme. Like,
don't settle.
Message.
If they don't make you feel whole when they're around. Your dad, from the time we were dating, I would stare at the door wherever we were at, and I'd have like 10 people with me, 10 friends. We were young, having fun. But there was something missing until I saw him walk through the door, you know? And that's really what she's talking about. I'm glad she had the love of her life, though, because I do counsel a lot of men and women who never find that person. And I think often people panic when they're ready to get married and have kids, and they don't hold out for the right one. Or they have walls that go up and they're sort of guarded, jaded, and certain that person's not out there. But then that person approaches them and they deflect them or repel them as an act of self-preservation because they're not going to change their ways. And so they do it to themselves when they don't try to give and bend for that other person. I changed a lot to be with Dad, and Dad changed a lot to be with me.
Yeah.
We're very the same in a lot of ways, but we're very different too.
Well, I feel like a lot of people look at someone that checks the boxes, but I think a feeling is everything.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to check all your boxes.
Right.
And they could work on it,
right.
But like, it's that feeling like you were talking about looking at the door for him to walk in, or it's not fun for you.
Mary Jane made me cry.
I know. I was starting to well up too. I was like, oh my gosh. I hope I find that.
Oh my God. Yes. But no, you're so right. And so I think a lot of people don't know what it looks like or feels like because they haven't observed it or felt it. So for all the people that don't know what it looks like or feels like, you just heard Mary Jane share her story with you. Now you've heard what that is.
Yeah.
And that person is worth waiting for. And I think the older you get, the bigger your checklist gets.
Yeah.
On what you
I
want.
can see that. Yeah.
What you want in a person.
The
Because
standards are
yeah. And so I'm glad I met your dad at 20. I was still wearing a baseball cap backwards with like the Tasmanian devil on it, like hitting bars, wearing my Reeboks. You know, it was just like a different time. And I'm glad I met him at 20 because I hadn't grown up yet. So I was able to grow with him and he was able to grow with me. And so that can be an advantage in being younger, but there's also advantages in every stage of life. And when you're on the same page, you're on the same page and you know it. And if you're dating someone that you're forcing it to make it work, eventually it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And Mary Jane didn't have to do that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we worry about, what about when we're 80 and how we look? Well, how do you know you're going to make 80? You know, sometimes you die at 49 like her husband. You got to live in the now. Mm-hmm. You know, Dad just asked me, he's like, want to go to the Renaissance Festival? I was like, yeah, I want to go to the Renaissance Festival. Like, you know, I mean, every year there's like certain things that you want to do, you want to live. Yeah. And I've always tried to be that way, which is why we did so much with you girls. We wanted you to experience everything.
Every year. Renaissance
Festival.
It's
so fun. And so I hope people out there do that. For the guys out there, buy the damn flowers. Yeah. If you're going to take her time and you want to leave a very positive impression, even if it doesn't end up working out, you look like a gentleman.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Your emotional value, your value as a man just elevates when you're considerate and you're thoughtful.
Yes.
Right. And so
I feel like they get embarrassed or something because there are some girls out there, but I'd say it's more rare than the majority.
But they know when they talk to a girl if she's going to be someone that's put off by flowers. I don't understand those girls. I'm all about it. So
same. Even a handwritten little note, I would just melt over.
Right. Well, and you shouldn't have to. You can suggest it to the person you're dating, and then if they don't pick up on your cues, then you know, that can be a problem. But, you know, sometimes guys don't know and they need to be told. And
absolutely.
One of the things I tell women, and I find it so interesting, especially with older women who are super accomplished and they've learned to do everything themselves. I'm like, from time to time, let them open a jar for you. I know you can open the jar, but it makes them feel good. And if you love someone and something so simple makes them feel good, it really doesn't make you lesser a woman because you did something to show love. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I hope for Valentine's Day, people go all out, make those reservations, a good quick out, definitely a picnic, and planning that, bottle of wine. Even the stupid foil heart balloons. We love that stuff. So
even just like a movie night or them cooking dinner for them in. Yeah. Like it doesn't have to be crazy.
No, I love cards, even though people are all about electronics now, because when I bring people through, and even her story, that card meant everything to her to get that day. And I saved Dad's cards in my hope chest and, you know, one way or the other, he says we're going to die on the same day, but one of us will go first. Those will be there to help the other one get through days, you know? And I think even that's really special. So get the card.
I hope that you guys go on the same day. Oh my gosh.
that would. Oh my gosh. I'll give you the short list of people that you can keep away from your dad. I'm just kidding.
No, he definitely would not.
No, I'm kidding. No, some men don't know how to be alone. And that's okay.
He'd probably just send himself to space or something. Check out the moon. I don't know.
Try and get near me up there. Right. That's so funny. So go all out on Valentine's Day. Or ladies, make something special. You can get heart-shaped cutters for pasta, make heart-shaped ravioli. That's really cool. Some restaurants do that.
Pizzas.
Yeah. That's always cool. And the movie Valentine's Day, there's like a list of just romance movies that you can watch, and a bottle of champagne. Like, it's just not that hard, you know? It makes us feel special. And if your girl or your guy is a Leo, give it to them publicly. It makes them feel happy and special, and they need it to be a public overture.
Totally. Totally.
So thank you for being here. I always love your advice. And I love how you are so sensitive and such an empath that you get all teary-eyed when it comes to my callers. Yeah, this actually was perfect, wasn't it? I love this. Mm-hmm. So where can my listeners find you?
I mean, I have a website, SophiaDuBoisPhoto.com, or my Instagram, Sophia DuBois Photo. So if you want to check out my photography, I'll be there.
Awesome. You're multi-talented.
Yeah.
So thank you to my listeners for tuning in. Tune in next week for a fresh episode of The Dead Life. My guest will be Talinda Bennington, the wife of Chester Bennington, the late frontman of Linkin Park. So she'll be on the show sharing with us her journey and what she does to heal through her loss. I'm Allison DuBois. This is The Dead Life. And to all of my believers out there, don't stop believing.
Join us next week on The Dead Life. And don't forget to subscribe now to get notified of every new episode.